Welcome to Elevate, the masterclass where we dissect the elements of exceptional achievement and lifestyle design with a focus on personal growth and real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Tyler Chesser.
Elevate Nation, welcome back. This is Tyler Chesser. I'm so thankful to have you here, and I am blessed and grateful. I'm excited to be sitting with you in another episode of Elevate Exclusive with Tyler. Me, myself, and I. You and I, we're going to get after it today. I'm excited about this topic. I want to talk to you about how multidisciplinary learning impacts your high performance, not only in real estate, but in all facets of your life. You want to be a high performer who can be even higher performing, then today's episode is for you. Elevate Podcast is all about mindset, mind expansion, and personal growth for high performing real estate investors. So what I want to do today is I want to dive right in. I want to talk about learning and how this can really serve you in so many different facets, in not only making amazing decisions in real estate, creating multiple streams of income, maximizing those streams of income, but also living the life of your dreams. I'll tell you what, my growth began with pure curiosity. My learning began with pure curiosity. When I jumped into real estate, I started to learn about mindset. I started to learn about Think and Grow Rich. I started to learn about how the wealthy think about money. And I couldn't get enough of it because as I applied, I started to see things show up in my life. I started to see new changes. I started to see results. And as I continued to learn, as I continued to follow my curiosity because of this desire to grow, I discovered so much more. I discovered so much more about myself. I discovered so much more about what is so exciting about learning. I discovered so much more about all of these different things that are out there and available to us through this experience that we call life. So learning has become my greatest passion. And I'd love to invite you along this path as well, so that perhaps this passion can also serve you, not only curiosity, but also in so many different ways in your business. And so I would love to share with you a few of my thoughts on multidisciplinary learning. First of all, we're not single dimensional people, human beings. We are multidimensional. We are multifaceted, and the world in itself, our reality, our society, investing, money, economics, human beings, psychology, history, all of these things, we're multidimensional, multifaceted, and it's also all interrelated, interconnected. So we're going to talk about that today, but I want to lead off with an awesome quote by Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's business partner. If you know anything about Charlie Munger, not only is he a billionaire, but he is one of the wisest individuals. He wrote a book called Poor Charlie's Almanac. It is a phenomenal read. It's really a collection of his wisdom and his thinking and the way that he approaches investing in life. And it's a collection of many speeches that he's given, commencement speeches and otherwise. But I want to share with you a few things that I learned from Charlie Munger. One of the things he says is, if you skillfully follow the multidisciplinary path, you will never wish to come back. It would be like cutting off your hands. And, that's a really exciting way to dive into this conversation. And it's also an exciting way for me to bring Elevate full circle, because a lot of times you'll notice that we bring on guests that have nothing to do with real estate. That is by design. And it can serve your growth in real estate by learning something that has nothing to do with real estate. It's about identifying patterns. It's about identifying interconnectedness and interrelatedness, so that not only can you think in an innovative capacity, but you can also solve problems with more dexterity, so that you can identify solutions or opportunities with more awareness. And not only are we developing a lattice work of learning, such as what Barbara Oakley taught us in how to learn in that podcast, in that episode on Elevate. If you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend that you go check out that episode. But it's talking about how to develop this lattice work, how to identify and create new opportunities as a result. What Charlie Munger also says is what you need is a lattice work of mental models in your head. And with that system, things gradually fit together in a way that enhances cognition. So not only are we training our brain by listening to these type of conversations, or listening to these types of experts, or reading this type of wisdom, or diving into a speech or a new experience, or stepping into new curiosity, are we enhancing our cognition, but we're also developing a lattice work of mental models. There's a biologist, her name was Julian Huxley. She says, life is just one damn life is just one damn relatedness after another. That's one thing that I found really fascinating as I was discussing with Marta Zaraska recently. We're talking about health and growing young and living to 100 years old. And we're starting to notice that there are relatedness in the way that you live and the way that you're kind to other people, the way that you're optimistic and the way that you're building friendships and spending time with other people, and how that relates to success in your business and success in real estate. Not only can you grow and compound those relationships, but those efforts and those habits and that character into massive financial success, it also will allow you to increase your longevity, increase your vitality, increase your fulfillment within your life. That's relatedness. You must have the mental models and see the relatedness and the effects of the relatedness, right? We've got to be able to identify those, study patterns, and understand the effects of those, because as investors, we have to know that what we're investing in, whether it's a property, whether it's a team, whether it's a person, whether it's a business, of course, we've got to understand that the relatedness has effects, right? The relatedness between biology and history and psychology and physiology, as we'll talk about here in just a second, all of these things relate. And what are the effects of that relatedness? So we've got to develop, again, this lattice work of mental models, and that comes through multidisciplinary learning. Again, we must understand a deal beyond just a standalone assessment of the property's financials, right? We've got to understand, what are the intangibles of this asset? What are the beliefs, the habits, the actions of this submarket? What is going on beyond just what we can read on a financial statement? That is how you identify opportunities. That is how you create an opportunity that perhaps the market does not see, right? This is how you create unfair advantages as an investor. You need a comprehensive analysis of the internal workings of the deal and the larger integrated ecosystem with which it operates, right? So what is going on, and how can you predict the future based on the interrelatedness and the effects of that relatedness? So what we have to do is we have to gather, we have to process, and we have to act on the information through not only analytical tools, methods, and formulas from traditional disciplines such as history, psychology, physiology, math, engineering, biology, physics, chemistry, statistics, economics, so on and so forth. So we've got to study, we've got to be curious and learn and open up the recognition that interrelatedness is connected, right? All of these systems connect. And so we've got to build a system that we can identify and apply this wisdom. So at the end of the day, multiple factors shape every system. Multiple models from a variety of disciplines applied with fluency are needed to understand that system. This comes down to learning, right? This comes down to multidisciplinary learning, opening yourself up to understand and follow some curiosity and identify patterns, right? Whether it's through history. One of the things that I love to do is read biographies, not only because it gives me almost surety that, hey, the people that I expect or that I respect the most in history have gone through challenges and struggles and doubt and fear and all these things. They've also had a little bit of a roller coaster, and it hasn't always been perfect and beautiful, but they've figured it out. And right. And the other thing too is, I've found more and more fascinating to learn about history and historical events, because history doesn't always directly repeat itself, but it rhymes. And so when we learn and we understand about history, we can apply that to our own decisions today, and we can anticipate what happens next. And I can tell you that the people that I admire the most in real estate, the people that I admire the most in business, are those that can anticipate. And they don't just do it because they're geniuses or experts, or they just have this natural talent that you and I don't have. They do it because they understand history and they've studied history. The same goes for psychology. We talk about mindset so much in Elevate, and understanding the psychology of yourself, understanding the psychology of other people around you is of critical importance as you're growing as a real estate investor. Of course, it shows up directly in a negotiation, right? We understand psychology and we understand what's really driving this person. It's not necessarily the surface level, because there's always a story beneath the story. And when you understand psychology, you can really connect deeper with that, and you can truly help people accomplish what they're looking to accomplish by understanding psychology. And the other thing too that's important is that we are always having a conversation with ourselves. We talk about mindset and mind expansion so much in Elevate Podcast. And this comes down to psychology. It comes down to what's happening between our ears and what conversation are we having with ourselves. And are we separating ourselves from that conversation, or are we one with that conversation? Are we getting wrapped up in a negative belief system or a negative thought process, or are we expanding towards what is possible and the possibilities, the art of possibility, and all these exciting things? I mean, I could go on and on and on, but understanding biology, understanding physiology, understanding chemistry, statistics is obviously highly important in real estate. We have to understand that, sometimes you get a sample size that relates to a larger model, and you can make decisions based on what's happening and what movements are occurring within statistics. So it's critically important to understand those methods and how sample sizes relate to a larger size of data and what that means for investments. And as you're scaling, statistics obviously is extremely important. Economics goes without saying. I mean, we've got to understand the various moving pieces in the economy and what things are being done. And not only from a policy perspective, but from a market behavior perspective. And how does that impact you? And how are you fitting into the market, right? What is your value proposition? So understanding and studying economics, understanding and studying biology. We talk about health so much, not only so that you can be a high performer and so that you can step up and be the greatest version of yourself, but also so that you can see that there are patterns, right? When we treat our body the right way, it then rewards us and it compounds on itself. And the same thing happens in your business, right? We can almost treat our business like a body, like biology, and think about cash flow as blood coming through our system, right? And you think about a heartbeat, you think about a strategy, you think about your gut and the intuition and the mind and your intellect and the systems of your business as almost being organs, right? And similar to biology. And so not only is this an abundant way to live because you can learn more about growing and improving your health so that you can show up with the highest energy, and so you can be a high performer and really tap into your nervous system and do great things in terms of impacting other people and making your life impactful for other people. But you can also discover the interrelatedness between your health, your biology, of course, math. We talk about that, in terms of how does that connect over to real estate. I mean, my goodness, you've got to have a handle on what's going on with the numbers, because you can do the math and the numbers will tell you what to do. But when you interrelate that math with the study of all of these other systems and this multidisciplinary learning, that's when you really see and you can really observe advantages that perhaps others do not see. So what is the interconnectedness of nature, right? We've been talking about this. When we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe. And so to me, that is really exciting. It's almost this, you start to see these patterns and you start to observe these patterns and you start to get more and more confidence behind certain decisions because you've recognized this pattern is now showing up in the way that you expected it to, in a totally unrelated capacity, a totally unrelated discipline. That's the power of multidisciplinary learning. The other thing that's a beautiful thing about this is that this allows us to be humble. Learning allows us to be humble. It allows us to recognize that at times we need to change our mind. Some of the people that I admire the most, some of the people that I know that are doing the greatest things in this world are the ones who update their thinking. They change their mind. So be willing to destroy your ideas. Be willing to change your mind. And success in investing boils down to a handful of decisions. And so at the end of the day, it's about being patient. It's about being patient until you see an opportunity to strike. And when you see that opportunity to strike, you take massive action. So you've got to train yourself to be more objective. You got to train yourself to be multidisciplinary. You're doing that by listening to this podcast, because we're going to continue to bring on the world's greatest experts in all of these fields, in addition to real estate investing, because this is an abundant practice that will serve you in every capacity. So it comes down again to a handful of decisions, even over an entire career. It comes down to patience. It comes down to learning and stepping into the habit of learning, multidisciplinary learning. The game is to keep learning. fall in love with the learning process, become infatuated with being crazy patient, and when you spot an advantage, leap forward with tremendous vigor. Again, that's one more time. The game is to keep learning, fall in love with the learning process, become infatuated with being crazy patient, and when you spot an advantage, leap forward with tremendous vigor and do whatever it takes. Show your defiant commitment to capturing those opportunities. And I'm telling you, that is the game changer. Multidisciplinary learning. So again, guys, this is a really exciting one to share with you. I really appreciate you sitting down with me today. I want to wish you much success in elevating your life, elevating your real estate business, most importantly, elevating others around you. Until next time, Elevate Nation, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Elevate. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to elevate your results by taking immediate action on what you learned. For more, visit elevatepod.com.